Alright guys, glad you could join me. Back here in the backyard with my, this is for my deflagration burner, my extreme deflagration burner if you will. That's what I call it. This is the burn chamber. We're going to go ahead and, I finally got the hole cut. A friend of mine with the plasma torch had to cut it. You look how thick that steel actually is. But what I'm going to be doing tonight, I'm going to burn this paint off and give it a little test. Come over here, I've got my 1 million BTU, it's a roof torch or a rosebud if you will. I'm running real low on propane, so I don't know if I'll be able to finish this. But I kind of want to see what the flames are going to look like. This won't be forced air, it'll just be propane, but it gives us a little bit of an idea of the properties of this output. Basically a venturi. That's part of the design. Now you come over here, I've got this is going to be attached. I'm going to have a friend that fits right on there perfectly. That's going to go inside of the kiln, which is going to be converted. I'm going to use some high temperature cement, and we're going to use that as my metal melting blast forge. So this is going to be the driver. Now if you haven't been following my project, I'm using a 5 horsepower gas powered blower to provide the forced air. I'm also going to use the exhaust heat, which I'm going to duct into here, and I'm going to use that a little catalytic converter that I've ordered. That's going to be take that exhaust, the unburned fuel, and then all that heat. I'm going to use that to preheat this cylinder, and for the reason of vaporizing oil. And I'm going to use used motor oil, which I have an unlimited supply of, to basically to run this, to power my blast forge, because it's a free fuel. Might as well recycle it. If I can heat it hot enough in vaporization temperatures, then this should work great, and it won't cost me but just the gasoline to run the blower. And the tiny bit of electricity for the way that I'm going to inject the oil is with a this pond pump. I'll bring you over here. This is my little aquaponics pond. It's dark right now. I was just doing some gardening, but so that's a mess back here. But you can hear this thing right here. Got it hooked up. I've got several of these, but that's the pump. It's a 30 watt. It's a 30 watt commercial pond pump. We'll just walk through my garden real quick. Get the pallet gardens built. May as well show those if you watch my other video. Ooh, those are some weird looking tomatoes. No, that's actually hemp. I'm growing for the purposes of making cigarettes, but the garden's doing pretty good. This is a pallet garden. Now you come back there, that tube right there in the back, that goes up to the roof. But let's get back to what we were doing. That pond pump, what it does is I'm going to have that attached to a paint sprayer. Now I have another video about a blue flame oil burner. I actually ran it off that pond pump and this paint sprayer I have. So I'm going to use that as my oil storage essentially, or my oil injection system. And I'm going to use that to inject the oil into the cylinder once it's hot from the running of the engine, and possibly I'll have to preheat it with propane. I'm not sure. I'm thinking the engine should provide sufficient heat. I can duct the blower so it's not blowing through the cylinder and cooling it, so it'll just be getting that exhaust heat. So I'll just full blast the engine. Should get it hot enough. If not, I can get some catalytic material, some platinum, that should be able to take that misted oil and the hot temperature right near the exhaust, and the combination of the two, I should be able to ignite the oil, which should allow this cylinder to heat up quite fast just from the pre-ignition of the oil. I don't know, I'll have to get it together to test, but let's just do this real quick and see if this how it looks. Burn a little bit of paint off at least. Alright, so we got the propane. I don't smell any leaking, so let's go ahead. Put that on. en's red hot. Got that sucker hot. Tank's probably ice cold. Yeah, got all kinds of ice on the tank. So. So we'll just let that cool off. So, you can feel the heat from here coming off that tank. I got a good start. A little bit of pre-burn on there. The inside nice and hot. You can feel the heat. It's already turning to rust right before my eyes. It's pretty neat. You can see the still an underlayer of paint. I'm gonna sand that down, get that old burnt paint off, and I'll probably do another burn of this. But essentially, yeah, that wasn't a very good demonstration because I'm just using propane. But if you watch videos on YouTube of like oil burners, there's a guy called Oil Burner. He's an Australian. He made all kinds of kind of cobbled together oil burners out of old fire extinguishers. And when he runs those things, they actually get red hot. Kind of like you couldn't see it on video, but I did get this back end to start get red hot. You can see that there's no paint left on there. This back portion around that really rough plasma cut. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was red hot. That plasma cut, it was a friend of mine did it for me at his really nice metal shop. Unfortunately, this steel was a little thicker than I think that thing was meant to cut. So the cut's a little bit rough, but I painted the circle on it pretty rough. So you saw how I did it with just a roll of duct tape, and I used spray paint sprayed inside. That's a good way to mark a circle, is just do that. But yeah, it doesn't really matter because my attachment that I'm using for this is going to be welded on, so I'll be able to weld that completely closed. But anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, like, subscribe, and you can keep up to date with it, and I'll be melting metal in no time. So thanks for watching. Have a great night.